Hi, and welcome to this week's second mini class talking about your year end marketing strategy. I'm Dana Zipisak. I'm a travel agent educator. I teach other agents what I do in my business in a step by step fashion to make it easier for you to see sales. I'm happy you're here. All right, let's get started with the question of the day. And if you're watching this on the replay, please comment and I'll respond to you when you can watch it. Okay. So, do you have a sales goal for 2026? Just reply yes or no to let me know if you have a sales goal. Okay. So I am just waiting for everyone to come in. Please tell me if you have a sales goal for 2026. I would love to just a yes or no. You don't have to tell us what it is, but a you know, do you have a goal already in place? Okay. Um Okay, so we have one no. That's okay. It's important to know where you're going in order to set a strategy. Okay, so let's get into first of all your marketing strategy. What does a marketing strategy mean? Okay, it's a play. It's a playbook. It's your playbook for how you want to grow your reach and your business. And see, we have our sales goals, okay? And you might be wondering, well, Dana, we're talking about marketing. Why are we bringing up sales goals? Well, you need to reflect in how you're marketing those sales goals that you want to achieve. Okay, so I need to know if I want to sell more Universal Orlando, I need to be putting more of that out there in my marketing. And if I'm not doing that, that would be why my sales aren't going up in Universal. Now, again, it's not that simple, but it is. It is actually pretty simple. And, you know, you got to have a playbook to know where you're going. So let's talk about what your playbook could look like for November and December. I cannot believe we are almost at the end of October. How did that happen? How did that happen? I guess we can't really, I just have to pick my jaw up off the floor and realize we are almost into November. So we're going to think forward to November and December. Okay. First thing I want you to do is run a sales report. Check your numbers. All right. Go in and see what you've sold this year. All right. Because you have to look back a little bit to go forward. And what you do in November and December might not turn into sales in November and December. And that's important to realize that you're planting a seed. Marketing is like a flower bed, gardening. You have to be nourishing it, building up that credibility. So that way, when someone is ready to book and you're showing up in their feed or you're showing up in their email inbox, that you are the one to book with. Okay. So a lot of times, what you do in November, what you do this month, it might not show in a sale until a couple months from now, but that's okay. But what we want to do is we want to look back at what you sold this year. Okay. So in whatever CRM you have, go back and check your numbers. All right. What I want you to do is look at what you want to sell more of. Determine from those numbers. Okay. Where are you in your business? What do you know best? What can you sell best? Okay. If you go back to yesterday's video on Selling Deluxe, and you can just go back. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's the live before this. If you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn, it's the same thing. Just look for the past event and it'll be there. Only for a week though. Okay. So watch it quickly. But I want you, because what happens is I got stuck telling you directions, and I was like, why did I want to look back again? Come back, Dana. Okay. I was telling you directions on how to see the other videos, but we talked about selling deluxe. And the reason why I'm, bringing that up again is because a lot of times we want to book more of those deluxe experiences, right? And what you need to do is not only experience it, not only know it, you have to go off of something that you can sell. And a lot of times that's what you've experienced yourself. So that's your first criteria. Your second criteria is who is booking what you want to sell more of? Who has actually booked what you want to sell more of? Okay. And you have to look in the past year, find those bookings that you really love and look at who they are. Okay. Because marketing, remember, always comes down to your ideal client, the who. All right. You could be posting all these things, but if it's not relevant to your ideal client, they're not going to care. It's not going to work. So you have to think of the who is booking what you want to sell more of. Okay. And then you want to think of content that you want to brainstorm what they can relate to, what keeps them from booking. And my little trick for this is to use ChatGPT. I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to put you into chat. We're going to go into ChatGPT. Okay. So we're going to go with the universal. That's what I started with. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put this over here. There we go. All right. So I'm going to ask it. So who is currently booking Universal with me right now? I have a lot of multi-generational trips going to Universal, and I like those because we like multi-gen, right? So I ask it. Now my eyes might go over here because I have two screens. So the screen you see here is actually my second screen. My camera's though on my first screen. So if it looks weird for a second, I apologize. All right. So we are going to ask it, what keeps families from booking a big trip to Universal Orlando? Okay. So sticker shock, it looks too expensive. Okay. Breakdown cost to show value, perks of staying on site. So these are all things. So this is really cool, actually. But see what you can ask ChatGPT just a little question like this, and this gives you some ideas. So you take what it is you want to sell more of and who is booking it. Then you're going to ask ChatGPT you're just asking for these reasons why they don't book. Okay. You're not asking it to write you posts. I don't want you to do that because guess what? People can tell when things are written by AI. I want you to speak from what you know. So that's why you want to you want to pick something that you know that you can write lots of posts or emails about. But this helps us brainstorm content because it puts us back into the client's point of view, because powerful marketing is marketing that relates to the ideal client and also speaks to their point of view. You are an expert. I'm an expert in Universal Orlando. Okay. Sometimes for me, it is hard to understand why somebody's not booking their trip or what keeps somebody from asking about going. Okay. And this gives me that perspective. Some preconceptions. People think it looks too expensive or, overwhelm. You don't know where to start. And especially with Universal, that website is confusing. So you could even bring that up. We can't fit it in. It's going to be too hot or too rainy. Are there enough things for younger kids? These are just all things that people think about. And again, this is just to give you a perspective that you might not think of right away. Okay. Because what happens is we're stuck in our expert world. We're processing all these different things, but our marketing needs to be on the level that our potential clients are on. So by prompting the ChatGPT, all right, it brings you back down and it gives you some ideas. So I could do a whole series, and I'm not going to put it in. This is the series for people who don't want, who want to go to Universal, but might not, but, have questions. No, I'm just going to make these as posts and let that inspire my content. Because here's the thing, our phones have tons and tons and tons of content on them, but we need to translate that content into helpful social media or email, something that will get people excited about booking or wanting to book. Okay. So this is one way to do it. This is one way to brainstorm, to get these ideas from your phone and into relatable content. Okay. So you think about that. So you think about what it is that's keeping them from booking. Okay. So we have some ideas there. And then you have to think about how you're going to connect. Now, my number one is email. I love social media. Actually, I don't know if I love social media. I use social media, okay? But I'm not using it as much. What I am trying to do every single week is to send an email that addresses one of those concerns in the email, okay? I can do, let's go back to the examples here. Okay, so let's go back. If I want to do an email about Universal, because actually even today, that's a really great one because they just released more stuff for 2026. I could say, let's see. Let's go ahead and look at overwhelmed with planning. All right. Overwhelmed with thinking about Universal. And then I can make an email with all of the different ways that my step-by-step process that I help them figure out which hotel to pick. What kind of tickets do you need? Do you need express passes? Are you going to need airport transfers? Do you want the photo package? And I can put all of that in an email and in an informative way, not in a way selling. Okay, because people don't want to be sold to. They want to learn information. That's why it's important to get topics that are relevant to them. And that is why I use ChatGPT for that, because I don't need to be convinced to book a trip to Universal, okay? But somebody else might be. And that's why getting another perspective. Now, I'm going to write it myself, okay? Because I sometimes get I feel like if we rely too much on AI to write for us, it's not going to sound like us. And then that takes away your advantage. Okay? You're a real life breathing human who wants to help them. Okay? But if you're just using AI to write your stuff, then, So anyway, I like to use AI to brainstorm, but then put it into my own words. That's how I use it. Okay, because then even down here it asks, would you like me to turn these into social media post ideas or a short email sequence to help families? Okay, so you can do this because it's just going to give you more ideas. So let's just see what it shows us, okay? 7 social media post ideas and a 3 email nurture sequence. Now, I would say you could use these ideas and then put it in your own words, all right? Do a reel showing you juggling papers or tabs and switch to Calm. That's where a travel agent comes in. I handle it all. I like the idea of like juggling the tabs and trying to figure stuff out, and then just, but again, you can tell these are corny and little, again, they're ideas to get things going in your head, because I don't know about you, but half the time it's not the actual post that takes me a while. It's like figuring out like what to talk about. This is where this comes in. Okay. This is where, and I'm pointing as if you're in front of me because I'm looking at, but this is where this helps us with that part. Okay. All right. Let's go back. I'm going to put the robot over here. All right. So email sequences. And of course, there's also your social media. I want you to plan on doing what is doable for you. Okay. I want to give you a little pep talk, and you do not have to be everywhere. I have decided, okay, that my focus is on my email and then Facebook, Instagram. I'm not trying to do TikTok. I'm not trying to do LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn right now for you guys, for my travel professionals, but for my travel clients, no. And I could, but you have to draw a line sometimes. You have to look at where your clients are and you be there. Now, if they're everywhere, then you have to say, well, where are my best clients? Um, but for some of you, that might be different. Some of you, it might be TikTok. I know I have a lot of my clients on Instagram. I have a lot of my clients on Facebook. I'm going to focus there. Now, YouTube is interesting. YouTube, I just upload videos to as I need them. But people can find you through that too. So that's not something to neglect. But for these last 2 months, I want you to pick a place to focus. If it's going to be email and TikTok, then awesome. If it's going to be email and a Facebook group, awesome. I want you to pick somewhere to be consistent in, because that's what matters most, is your consistency here. Okay. Oof. Now let's think about November. What are some themes that you could look to for November? I like to look at November for gratitude. Okay. Thanking my clients for supporting my small business. Okay. Maybe ask them to share your name. That's what Small Business Saturday is all about. But you can even do it earlier in the month about, just sharing your profile or sharing your email list sign up. Okay. Say, I give out these tips, once a week. If you think any friends of yours would want to be on my list, send them this sign up link. The thing is, you want to do a small ask. Okay. You don't want to say, hey, share my name with any friends looking to book a trip. That's too broad. That's too big. But if you say, hey, I send out an email maybe twice a month about how to make trip planning easier. Okay. Or with discounts for destinations, and if you wouldn't mind sharing that link with a couple friends, that would be really awesome. Okay. Or, hey, make sure they're share my Instagram with, any friends and family, because I'm really working on my reels and I would love to have some more views. Okay. Those kinds of things that people can, an easy ask. And then also being gracious to them and asking, letting them know how grateful you are for them and their support. Now, December, and I'm guilty of this too. The Trip Under the Tree campaigns. Okay. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of doing it. But the more I reflect on it, the more I feel like it needs a redo. Trip Under the Tree is still a good idea for people who are older. Okay. For people who have adult kids or even teenagers, but even teenagers like to open something under the tree. So I don't know if that, unless they're going to open their gifts and be like, we're going to Disney World right now. Like, I think for young kids, it's a harder thing to do, because you can't say, oh, you got a Disney World trip for Christmas, but we're not going till July. Well, an 8-year-old is not going to, that's not going to process for them, So I think with positioning the Trip Under the Tree, I think we position it for people who have older kids, adult kids, and they don't know what to get them, and say, and a lot of people do this now. They just say, okay, you know what? We're going to do the summer vacation instead of doing Christmas presents. Okay. And so I would see going it from that angle. And as far as if you are more younger families, I would highlight how, and if you're, I would highlight how, the past trips that you've taken, how that influences how you give gifts. Like, for example, I make a book for my son every year of all of the baseball stadiums we went to, because that's part of his, he wants to go to all the baseball stadiums. So every year I make a book of what we did that year. Okay. So that's something where, he can open it. Kids still want to open things. So I would think of, position the gifting memories type thing for an older audience, like who are gifting to an older audience. And then for the younger audience, I would focus on how to make the holidays easier. Okay. Because if your ideal audience is parents of younger children, okay, they're juggling a lot in December. Okay. So make the content more relatable, more fun. Okay. And not so much pressure to book a trip for under the tree because they're not there mentally. Okay. They're not there thinking, oh, I'm going to book this trip. That's just my opinion. But I think sometimes we overdo that phrasing. And I don't know how helpful it is for people. So I would look at December as adding value, adding magic to your feed, and then planting that seed for January when wave season really starts up. Okay. All right, let's review. First, I want you to look at your sales numbers. Then I want you to look at who is actually booking. And then I want you to tailor your marketing to those people. What is relevant to them? Okay. Use ChatGPT to brainstorm topics. Okay. And then either use email, social media, whatever your channel is to connect with them. I hope you have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.